So the crazy thing is that like, it's weird that I find myself in the world of social media because I like to live my life outside of it.
Yeah.
And I've tried to incorporate my outside life into at least the Instagram side of it.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, I don't like social media for the reasons that it was created. I don't like sharing pieces of my life. I'm a very private person.
Yeah.
I just like to do my thing, hang out with the people that I call my tribe, and go to concerts. I mean, travel and concerts. That's who Seth Godwin really is.
Yeah.
I like to be as frugal about it as possible, but I'm not going to pass up a great opportunity to see one of the greatest bands or one of the greatest artists like that I love.
Yeah.
So I mean, that at my core, that's who I am.
Yeah.
I'm
So
a
I guess
big kid.
I guess question I'll ask you is, so far with your recent tour, well, I'll say it's a tour because you've been going from city to city. With your recent tour, what has been the favorite band that you've seen so far? Favorite musical show that you've seen so far? Which I know is going to be hard to pick because it's like picking your kids, but
yeah, so it's really difficult. The most sentimental to me, which is probably going to end up being my favorite, was Alanis Morissette, because I grew up listening to her with my mom growing up, and me and my mom were really close. The greatest show that somebody put on was probably Kiss. I mean, everybody has an opinion on Kiss. Personally, I don't think they're like one of the greatest bands of all time, but they sure as heck know how to put on a show.
Nice.
So in between those two.
Yeah, that's one thing that I want to do a little bit more of, is like go to concerts and go to people that I enjoy their music, just go see them in person, because you never know, you may not get that opportunity later on in the future, so you might as well grab them when you do have that chance.
Exactly. I had, speaking of Atlanta, I had a ticket to see Prince's last show in Atlanta. Like, it was his last show ever. And I skipped out on it because of work.
Yeah.
I had an opportunity to see Tom Petty. No, it wasn't his last show ever, but it was, on his last tour ever.
Yeah.
I was just like, it's Tom Petty, it's Prince. They're going to be here for a while. And they just, turned out to be that, no, they weren't.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like, time is so precious. And sometimes we forget about that. It's just like, it just goes, it glows in a blink of an eye. And it's like all the stuff we wanted to do. It's like, what just happened? What's going on? Like, it just goes away before we even can grab it. But anyway, how did you get started in finance? Who or what got you into this whole world of finance?
Sure, absolutely. So, to be completely candid, after my departure from Walmart, which was not exactly amicable, I almost went bankrupt because I didn't have a source of income, and I was in a massive amount of credit card debt. And I started watching people on YouTube. I came across Dave Ramsey, came across Graham Stephan, Meet Kevin, Andre Jick, Nate O'Brien, the people on YouTube, the big guys. I got a lot of great ideas from the Ramsey method. I think anybody who's seen my content knows that I don't necessarily agree with the bulk majority of it. But as far as like the budgeting and debt pay down, fantastic and solid. So that got me on the right path. I started learning more about credit from Graham and Kevin. And I kind of got like really obsessed with it. Like it became another personality trait. And then outside of that, like I started my own business. I did a freight delivery business for about 1.5 years with my best friend and his mom. We ended up selling the business, and then I got a job at one of the largest, actually the largest credit union in the world.
Wow.
Worked there for about 2.5 years. And while I was there, I started doing the TikTok stuff, really just out of pettiness. If you haven't noticed, I'm a person who's largely motivated by pettiness. And I just kept getting the same questions day in and day out at that institution about the car buying process. It was like, nobody knows how to buy a car properly. So that inspired me to start making my videos. First couple of videos got a few hundred views, and then a few thousand views. And then the fourth video in, boom, 100,000 views overnight. And I was like, whoa, I'm onto something here. So that's led us to where we are now, like 1.5 years since my first video. So the first one was July 2nd of 2020. And I went full time with this in April of this year.
Nice. That's incredible. Just going back to the Dave Ramsey thing. So It's interesting how like most of us, I'm in that boat too, where I started off with Dave Ramsey. Like that was
Sure.
that was like my entry point of like, yeah, I need to figure out, because I got into credit card debt after college and I was like, this is not good. I need to figure this thing out. And then you find Dave Ramsey. And then after a while, I like to tell people it's like, chew the meat, spit out the bones. It's like, everyone has something to share, but it's learning like what works best for you. And it's like, it's like, there's so many people that just go into like a dogma type of stance on everything. It's like, this is the only way. It's like, nah, like, yeah, he has some good stuff, but there's other good stuff from other people too. And for me, that was how I started. It was like, I was super Dave Ramsey. And then slowly I started opening up and it was like, wait a minute, this seems a lot better. And this seems a lot better. I guess that's the same thing that happened with you, just as you started getting more information.
Right. Exactly. That's really it. And that's the beautiful thing about personal finance. You know, it's personal. It's going to be different from person to person.
Yep. I love that. We forget the personal part of it a lot of the time and we just go finance, but it's so important we add that back in. So how has it been going from working 9-to-5 W-2 job and just kind of finally making that leap into the world of entrepreneurship, being a 1099, working in this new field? Like, how has that been, this whole process that you're now living out?
So it started out, you know, I discussed this with a lot of wonderful people who helped me, you know, make the jump. And they're like, dude, don't be too hard on yourself for the first couple of months because you're going to be in a really transitory position. And I was like, nah, I'm going to jump into it head first. And then I slept for the first 2 weeks after my final day of the job. I was like, holy crap, I'm so stressed. I did not realize it. So once I finally got my bearings after those 2 weeks of sleep, I started building my own structure. Because, you know, with the 9-to-5, you've got that structure built in. You know, you work from here to here. Mm-hmm. That's your day. Get in, get out. That's it. Then go do your own thing. Yeah. So I went from doing that to 100% my own thing. And getting into that rhythm was difficult. Like, I'm not going to lie. So I tried to structure it in a way that was a healthy balance between a hybrid between my 9-to-5 and what I actually wanted to do. And then I've also found ways to make that work whenever I travel as well.
Gotcha. I'll ask you this. What's been the, I guess minus the allocating your time and adjusting to the newfound freedom that you have, what has been the next like hardest concept of going from a 9-to-5 world into the world of entrepreneurship, into the world of I have total control of every single aspect of how I get paid and everything like that? What else has been like something you've been trying to figure out, like, okay, this is way different than I expected this to be when I first started?
Really the payment structure, because like, you know, on a 9-to-5, you're looking at, you know, a paycheck every 2 weeks and you pretty much know what you're going to be getting. This, you can go from 5 figures in a few days to 3 figures the next month. Like, it's so variable. And that kind of freaked me out a little bit at first, you know, because like the reason I left my 9-to-5 is because it far surpassed what I was doing at my day job. Mm-hmm. And then like the next month, it just plummeted to a few $100. And I was like, oh no, what have I done? And then it picks back up. So making sure that, you know, you're not blowing all of your money, you know, as finance guys, we're kind of blessed to be in that niche where we know we're planning for the future. Yeah. I can't imagine people who are not great with their money going from that to that in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because it's very much like I was like, yeah, I mean, a lot of people say the exact same thing, where it's like the inconsistency of the paycheck is very much like, you never know. But it's like, for those who are in finance, it's always like, yeah, but we make plans and we adjust for it. I always feel like, man, for those who have like no idea and they expect or they extrapolate, I was reading about, what's his name? MC Hammer, and how he bought like a ridiculously expensive house and he was paying so many people because he extrapolated his income to be like basically everlasting. And then all of a sudden it started drying up and then things just went haywire. So it's just interesting, like hearing a lot of people talk about it. And it's like, everyone knows it in the back of their head, but it's just like, it's completely different from like reality of seeing it happen firsthand.
Yeah. Once you see those consistent paychecks stop and then you're completely on your own, it's like, my safety net is gone. This is 100% on me. you can talk about it for months, you can talk about it for years even leading up to it, but you don't really know how it feels until you finally pull that rug out.
Yeah, that's definitely big. So I guess the other question I'll ask you is like, you talked a little bit about it, or about going on TikTok and just basically out of pettiness, but like, why was it TikTok above every other platform? I was like asking this question of why anybody started creating videos. First of all, you were making videos about
I hope
money.
you enjoyed that little snippet of the Rambling Mind podcast. If you want more of the Rambling Mind podcast, or if you want to listen to the whole episode that you just heard, go check it out on any podcast listening platform, whether that be Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Breaker, Stitcher. I could go on, but you guys already know which podcast you love to use to listen to. So go check it out. Link down in the description as well. I'm going to catch y'all later. Peace.